Action.
Hola Madridistas, welcome back to another episode of Let's Be Your podcast. Well, this is unfamiliar territory, you know. Last year when I was doing this, especially months like September used to be very uncertain, very. This is very uncharacteristic of Real Madrid to be in. I don't. I can't really say this is third gear, but at least second gear because um, and along with the tradition of following our club and watching the games, one thing that have always bugged me was the fact that we never really started seasons on the right note. By the right note, I mean with the right intensity. Only by February, and by February I mean the knockout stages where we actually set into some sort of a rhythm. But this season and somewhat last season has been exceptions, and it's all down to Carlo. 9 out of 9 wins. First time it's been done in over 60 years. That's like at least 2 or 3 generations. You know,
Come
this is not
on. Where's the energy, Sunil? Hala Madrid. Come on. We won.
before
We
we
won. And
And
yeah,
it's
yeah,
a, it was
okay,
a
okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
please,
energy
please,
is
please
coming. Energy is
continue.
coming. This is the intro. This is the intro. Before we get into it, how are you doing, Yadu? How did you feel about the game?
a
A
very
very
tight,
tight,
very
very
tense
tense
game.
game.
I
I
just
just
felt
felt
that the
that the
players were
players were
constantly
constantly
under
under
threat,
threat,
to be
to be
honest.
honest.
Um,
Um,
Intense.
Hostile,
Intense,
right? Very,
Very,
very
very,
hostile.
very
very
hostile
hostile
environment.
environment.
But it
But it
was to
was
be
to be
expected
expected
going
going
into the
into the
game.
game.
It
It
delivered
delivered
up to
up to
its
its
promises.
promises.
We
We
saw a
saw a
couple of
couple of
dances.
dances.
So,
So,
all in
all in
all,
all,
pretty
pretty
happy
happy
with the
with the
outcome.
outcome.
And
And
about the
about the
game,
game,
I don't
I don't
know.
know.
Some
Some
mistakes,
mistakes,
some
some
concerns.
concerns,
But
but
at the
at
end
the
of
end
the
of the
day,
day,
it's
it's nine
nine out
out
of
of
nine
nine
wins.
wins.
So
So
yeah,
yeah,
pretty
pretty
happy
happy
with
with
that.
that.
I
I
take it
take
that
it
we'll
that we'll
get
get
into
into
the
the
details
details
right
right
now.
now.
So yeah. Well, before the prelude to the game was, by design, filled with controversy. You know,
Hmm.
El derbies usually have an air of controversy to them even before a ball is kicked. You could argue that El derbies are much more controversial than Barcelona, where there's an um ambiguous respect between the both clubs. You necessarily can't point the finger and say how much, but there's some sort of respect. But with Atleti, especially in the recent years and on the back of the the transfer aggression between the both clubs and
Hmm.
stuff like that being reopened, was always going to be a bit so. And Vinicius celebrating would cause problems, was what Koke said, like
I
we
I
mean,
mean,
the
the
discussed.
statements
statements
themselves were
themselves were
pretty
pretty
loaded,
loaded,
Hmm.
and we
and we
discussed that
discussed
I
that
mean,
last
last
time.
time.
yeah. Well, Koke's interview might be blown out of proportion a bit because
Hmm.
it can be interpreted multiple ways. But stuff stuff like what the Chiranguito guy said was completely out of line. So it was brimming. You could see everybody was emotional, especially Winnie, like you mentioned before we came on. It was expected that he would be super agitated by whatever was going on. Um, but I was quite surprised how the Atleti hierarchy played it down. Like their president basically said, like if he's scoring a goal, it's up to him how he celebrates. Like even I want to learn samba. That's what he said. So some sort of affection was kind of shown from the Atleti faithful, but the
Hmm.
crowd was anything but affectionate. Even before the team went into the dressing room. So apparently, I heard on the TV in the pre-match that when the best was actually coming into the stadium, there were already chants of Vinicius Junior, you're a monkey. I mean, This is 2022. Racism has been going on for centuries. It has been brought to light these past few years, but nothing changes. There's video evidence. You can actually see people who are on television and basically ban them for life. You
Absolutely. I mean,
wouldn't do it.
action should be taken. This is not something that
Wouldn't be taken.
you can take
It wouldn't
as
be
a
taken
joke.
because it's
No.
above. It is above the law. The people who actually do it are above the law. They call themselves ultras. I don't know, if this is a tough front for their very feeble minds. This is unacceptable, like we all know, but
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure it'll be still prevalent even in the generations of the coming years. Like this is never going to go away. This is something that is like like imprinted into the society, so it's never going to go away. But leaving all that, like the abuse continued onto the pitch. Whenever Vinny was on the ball, he was booed pretty harshly, but it's expected. It's Wanda Metropolitano, it's Atleti way.
There was also the case after the first goal from Rodrigo and Vinicius had the celebration, the little dance. The game actually had to be paused for 30 seconds to a minute because of all the craziness happening in the stands, and that's again, this is not acceptable behavior from a team that plays the UCL,
Yeah,
from a team that's risen from
I
nothing
mean,
into what they are right now. It's a disgraceful behavior, to be honest.
Atleti never came off, or they never wanted to. The
Be the good
institution
guys,
never wanted
yeah.
to.
They never wanted to be the good guys, and yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you can see it right now, I guess.
Mm. But the other point that you brought up, that there was a couple of minutes of break in between the celebration and back to kickoff. I
Mhm.
read the reason was because I couldn't hear it over the commentary because it was pretty fucking loud.
Mhm.
Uh, the the announcer was basically saying, stop throwing objects on the pitch, otherwise the game has to be suspended. So
Yeah.
it was a
I
complete
mean,
nonsense.
it's pretty evident from watching back the clips from the replays that there were cigarette lighters and bottles being thrown to the celebrating players.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
yeah. I mean, if we continue to talk about this, I feel like we'll go in circles and circles. But yeah, the
yeah. This
fans
is,
just yeah, horrible from them.
yeah. I mean, it's expected. The backdrop was always gonna provide stuff like what happened today. I mean, there were scuffles from like minute 3 or 4, so it was heated from the get go. Atleti started better; they had the better chances, especially the first 15 minutes. I thought they looked on top. They
Mhm.
carved us open on a couple of occasions. Carrasco went through on goal, hit the side netting. Felipe had a good chance with the glancing header. Um, and if one of those, I mean, also a Felix shot which was blocked by Cruz. If one of those goes in, Riyadu, like, do you think, like we all know, the match would have had a different complexion than what it did?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, their tactic from the get-go, even from having Griezmann on the pitch from minute one, which was a big surprise to all the way to the end, it
Yeah,
was to score
that's
an
another
early
big
goal.
talking point.
It
Mm,
was it was to get an early goal and possibly to lock
mm,
the whole game down so that nothing else
mm,
happens. We got lucky on a couple of occasions. Big props to the players, the back line, and of course Courtois. As usual, I would say at this point, the Belgian wall came out strong in the first half. And yeah, the game would be, I mean, we would have seen a completely different game if one of those chances did really end up. I mean, there were a
mm,
lot of corners, there were a lot of attacking runs, but then
yeah.
I felt kind of safe knowing that this is something that we've overcome before.
Yep.
We've sat back
Yep.
before, absorbed the pressure, and knowing
Mm,
that gave me a peace of mind to look forward to
mm.
whatever was coming our way.
Mendy looked especially shaky.
Hmm.
And in the first half, there were a few instances where he was very I don't know, very unsure of where to pass the ball,
Hmm.
and kind of lost his way, especially on the attacking part of the pitch. He ran out of ideas. Maybe it was because they were defending in a flat five athletic,
Hmm.
but um he redeemed himself like most of the guys who go through rough patches in our team. They
Hmm.
redeemed themselves, which is a good sign. He also was the guy who was the culprit on losing his marker for the Felipe header early on.
Yeah,
Yeah. So Mendy was
a
kind
bit
of
shaky, a bit shaky from Mendy. I agree, but then I guess he had a really energetic game. What with all the attacks coming his way, maybe he ran out of energy, which saw his substitution in the second half. Carlo
yeah.
noticed it much before the fans did and took him off for Rudiger, which was an instant improvement. Um, and yeah, Mendy, maybe for the next game, he has something that has to be looked at. That's
Mm.
true. It's a good point.
Mendy rarely has defensive lapses, but
Hmm.
this occasion, a derby, it brings in stuff. It brings stuff in people that you don't expect. So I'm pretty sure that Mendy wouldn't have any difficulty going back to his old self.
Yeah,
But
true. I mean,
talking to the
he's been
first one,
consistent though. He's been
very
consistent.
consistent.
Yeah, he's been consistent
One
throughout
of
the
the
season. One of
one of
our
the top.
most consistent players. Yeah, dominant throughout. So yeah, maybe it's the pressure, maybe it's the atmosphere of the Wanda Metropolitano. Whatever
Yeah.
brought on a couple of lapses, a couple of missed passes, a couple of defensive errors, let's say, and we leave it at that
Mm,
and hope
yeah.
that he gets back to his usual pace and form. True.
Mm. Walk me through the first goal, Yadu. You know, Valverde again. Um, his his lung busting run. There was this interesting point that the commentator put up
Hmm.
while I was watching. So he was saying, ideally, where do you start Valverde? We have had this debate a lot. I mean, in specific games, it is to kind of help us and Carvajal still have a solid career on the right hand side, because this guy covers both ends of the pitch
Yeah.
basically. But then the commentator was arguing. So if you start him up top, basically as a right winger, you kind of lose those line breaking runs that he makes from very deep,
Hmm.
which completely takes the opposition by surprise, and they don't get enough time to react to this guy's incisive runs. Do you like that was very evident. That goal was basically an assist set up by Valverde, because he kind of wriggled past like five players and basically started the attack.
Hmm.
Um,
Do you mean his pass to Chaumeni, who then passed to Rodrigo to get the first goal, or the second run from
no,
the
the
the?
first goal, for the
Oh
first
yeah, oh
goal, if
yeah.
you go
Hmm.
back and see, yeah, he was the one who actually broke the press.
True. I mean,
Valverde.
we have Valverde to owe for both goals, so then I was just clearing that up. And yeah,
Mm,
I guess the question of where to start him, at this point, he's a fluid enough player to get into. I mean, he was all over the pitch, which
he was
is
all over the pitch today.
essentially a
He was
good
a right back
thing.
at one point,
Yeah, which is
right wing
essentially a
at another
good
point.
thing because he's a specialist when it comes to those positions. I mean,
Mm.
he gets
He's that right hand
into
side.
those positions on the right side, which are very conducive to creative play, and you can
Mm.
see why players like Modric uh, basically want him close to them just to unlock the defenses where it completely locks our team down.
Mm.
The question, I mean, rather more than the position, it should be where does he end up in those idle moments where there's a kickoff. I mean, where there's a
Yeah,
goal kick from the
yeah,
goalkeeper, and I mean, he finds his pace and he finds the time to get back to those positions where it suits him best, which is the right wing again. I mean, I found him
there was
there in the idle moments, but during the flow of play, he was
yeah,
everywhere. He was in the midfield, overloading the midfield so that Atletico doesn't control it as much as they
yeah,
want to. He's also there as a defensive cover for Carvajal, as you said. which is also plus points to Valverde. I actually expected Valverde to be man of the match, but then again, it went to
Rodrigo.
Rodrigo instead, which I can't say is not undeserving. Rodrigo was special today.
Mm. Well, you saw the neat exchange. How simple, right? Like how that's the thing. We always kind of bring this up time and time again. He himself does simple stuff. Also encourages the people around him to do the basics.
Mhm.
If you nail the basics right, stuff like this happen. I mean, when you watch it, the weight of the ball, how basically Rodrigo tells him, you know what, I'm gonna just lay it off to you and make this run in behind. You just need to find me somehow. I mean, on other days, Felipe gets to it and Rodrigo never gets the ball clear of the back line. But tonight, it fell his way, and boy was it satisfying. Chouameni's passing range has already impressed most.
Absolutely amazing. If he doesn't start for France, it's a crime at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Before we move on, though, I just need to look at the comments real quick. We have Urim James in the comments saying, I really thought Valverde should have played in Vinicius with a through ball instead of taking it wide. Anyway, it was a goal. Still happy that the goal came, although maybe it wasn't the expected passing sequence
Yeah,
that the
yeah.
fans thought they'd see. Thoughts?
Mm,
So anything to
mm.
add there?
Basically, Valverde, he essentially knows what to do. I mean, there was a running joke that, he has these one-on-ones with Don Carlo, and basically he asks Carlo sometimes, Mister, like you always play me out of my natural position. You know, sometimes I have to stick in at right back. All over the place. So he basically asks Mister, what is my position, and he tells him it's a pitch. So he doesn't even define a position for Valverde. So you can imagine he knows what to do. He knows what to do.
It could also be just the natural fact that Valverde had just completed an amazing run where he had to do way too much for just one player. And he saw the
Mm,
easy pass to Chameni, who had the beautiful vision to play the through ball, to play the overhead
mm,
lob ball, which then found
mm.
Rodrigo to set up a beautiful
Rodrigo,
finish.
you see, right, how lethal he can be in front of
Mhm.
goal. I mean, he was
Absolutely,
facing.
he's just continuing his vapors from the UCL campaign,
Mm.
seeing beautiful goals week in and week out. It's
Three
it's,
stars,
it's
three goals, right, for Rodrigo?
three starts, three goals in La Liga. What a stat, man!
Yeah.
Completely happy
Long way to
for
go, long way to
Rodrigo.
go, long way to go. So I'm not gonna gas him up too much. I want him to do well more than anybody, ever, because he's my guy. I've mentioned it multiple times, and I still think if he just keeps his head down, keeps working, doing his thing, uh, like this will continue, and he'll keep scoring important goals. These are no goals that you come in as a sub and
Hmm.
score in a lost cause or in a game that is a dead rubber in which we are
Hmm.
winning like 5-0. This is away at Atleti, opening goal, sets the tempo, gives us breathing room, gives us a platform to build upon. So this guy is really coming in clutch. Remember how scared we used to be when Benzema was missing some nights.
Yeah.
I mean, some match days, but
Hmm.
these guys are constantly proving that, even without Benzema, they have that those special minerals to actually pull this team across. We are not playing the most blistering football, you could see. This is not fantasy stuff. Like you could argue Barca plays much more free flowing, much more impressive stuff than we do. But we are
I don't
efficient.
know these days. I don't know because tonight, especially, I saw the triangles that our players made with those picking
Mm,
passes, with the short
mm.
passes played in a triangle, a moving triangle
Yeah.
that just moved all the way from the back line all the way up to the front, um,
Mm,
which ends usually in a lot of free flowing football. The only question to that style of football was the excessive. I don't even want to say excessive. was the normal amount of expected fouls that we draw in always at
Mm.
Wanda Metropolitano. As I said in the group chat before the game began, I predicted that we would see at least five yellow cards. Surprise,
Yeah.
surprise! It was five yellow cards and red. So yeah.
But before we get to the red that
Mhm.
was given to Hermoso, the Mandava tackle, the Ranieldo Mandava tackle on
Yeah.
Rodrigo in the first half should have been a red, right? Like it's a clear straight red because he is going in for the ball. I mean, I hope that is his intention, but the
Mhm.
studs are up. He's basically kicking him studs up on his thighs. I was so fucking relieved that it wasn't anything serious, because they only have one intention. They looked pissed. They wanted to kick anybody they saw. So um, I'm just not sure how VAR can, you know, like blindfold themselves and
Mhm.
basically just let these things go. Like when do you think Yadu these guys would be held accountable? This is the umpteenth time we have been discussing about referees in Spain.
Yeah. So about the whole thing, I've seen arguments for and against it. The
Mm.
four obviously coming from Real Madrid fans who are adamant that the spikes are up, that the studs are up, and I see it as well. But looking back at it, I mean, looking back at it, not from the moment of passion, but right now, looking back at it, maybe it just received maybe it just deserved a yellow, but the inconsistencies didn't just stop there. The yellow that Ferland Mendy got was completely undeserved. It was so unfair. The challenge
Yeah,
was
yeah, he
clean.
got the ball, right?
He did. He completely got the ball. There wasn't a question of anything unfair played there. The only issue that maybe the ref saw was the aggression being displayed. But then I would
Mm.
argue, if the aggression is the case, why didn't Atleti get a red for the first tackle, for the first foul? It's again, VAR still in its infant stages. It's I don't know how much longer we can keep saying this, but it's shit. It is shit.
Can't agree with it anymore. Unfortunately.
Yeah, and
But
we have Uri James just chiming in with just one last end note for that. The red card was fairly symbolic of what Atletico Madrid under Cholo is. Imprisoned by their own insecurities and ill temperament. Agreed on the yellow on Mendy. It was stupid. Thank you, Reem,
mm,
for wrapping up our sentiments. That was actually very well put. Thank you. Yeah.
that was very well said.
Mhm.
They are basically suffering for whatever they try to whatever dark arts they try to pull upon people. It just comes back on them.
Yeah.
That's karma. It just keeps coming. But yeah, like after I remember after the Rodrigo goal, that connection from the Chelsea game last year, it
Mhm.
almost happened. Again. The Modric outside the football to Rodrigo, it almost happened. He was through on goal, but I think was it Felipe who made a last ditch challenge or Witzel? I don't remember, but stuff like that. These guys know it. I mean, the commentators were mentioning like all these guys are young kids, but they have that sort of
The
bite
fucking
that
mentality, man, it's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
You
mentality,
see the
mentality.
vision, you see the goal being formed. You see it from the players' eyes, you see it from their movement. They sense a goal coming and they're there in the position. Absolutely
Mm.
phenomenal stuff from them.
Second goal didn't take much long either.
I
Um,
completely thought either Vinny should pass it or that he should
mm,
score it.
mm.
I almost jumped up thinking that it was a goal ready to dance with Vinny. It was a bitter surprise to see it bounce off
The post.
of the woodwork, and yeah. But luckily, who else is there to save the day but Valverde? Time and time again, scored an absolute banger. Nobody had any chance to stop it. A rocket of a goal. Oh, I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy with that goal, as you can say.
The banger you were talking about was from last week, right? Not this goal, I hope.
I mean, even this one. Did you see the force on that? It's just a rebound ball. He didn't have to hit it that hard. It
This is
wrapped
not
in
a
the back
banger. I
post.
mean, I can't agree with you that this is a banger, but very efficient. He was in the right place, right time. Slotted it in. Last three games, three goals. We were all on Valverde's case. Like he brings so much to the team, but goals. Now he is clearly stepping it up,
There was
and
a
you
there
could
was a
see.
there was a point from the press conference. Sorry to cut in. There was a but this has to be added here. There was a point from the press conference where the coaching staff were asked what do they expect from Valverde more than
Mm,
whatever he's doing right now. And basically, Carlo just answered that we need him to keep doing what he's doing, and we're
mm.
expecting at least 10 goals. So,
Yeah,
looks
yeah,
like
we
he's
discussed
well on his
on
way.
he basically said like if he doesn't score 10 goals, I'm going to tear up my coaching license. That
Fair.
just puts everything into perspective, that how much they rate him. And
Mhm.
you could see, Valverde and all these players, even Chouameni, these guys have something about them. I can't put my finger on it. Like, I've seen a lot of Real Madrid teams, I've watched a lot of football in my lifetime, but you could see when some people are aware of what they're capable of. Most of the time, at this level, it's not a question about talent, because you don't make it to this level if you don't have talent, right? So it's mostly about believing in yourself and kind of realizing how much you're capable of. And every single one of them, they look like they know what they're capable of. Chouameni has been here for less than 2 months, right? Less than 2 months,
I
and
wouldn't
he looks
believe it. I couldn't believe the stat that he's been there only this much time. He's playing
yeah.
like he fits into the system.
Mm,
He already believes the Real Madrid train of thought. Whatever is
mm,
going on inside the players' heads, he's well aware of it. He's tapped into the talent, the natural
mm.
talent that he has. He's seeing stuff yeah, that most of us don't even see. Beautiful, beautiful
Chou-
example today.
Chouameni is a natural ball winner. I could say he is a very natural ball playing defensive midfielder, like in the veins of a Rodri. Casemiro could play brilliant passes, could pick out people efficiently, but I don't think he did possess Chouameni's ball carrying abilities. So this guy uh, is another layer of dimension to whatever Casemiro was impressive at. Still long way to go. Still long way to go. He'll be
Yeah,
hungry.
that's what because I don't know if I can rate him ahead of Casemiro just yet, based on
No,
just
no, no. It's very early
yeah.
days. But you gotta give him his fair dues for someone who's young. Who's playing his first season in Spain. Away at Atleti. Like you could see they. I still remember, people like Mourinho, even when Modric was here. When
Mhm.
Modric was here, although it was a case of Ozil and Di Maria kind of picking up any spare midfield positions, I remember Mourinho very seldom thrust Modric into the starting lineup. He was 27 at the time, had ample experience in multiple leagues. Played for Tottenham at the very highest level. But you could see he's coming from Monaco. He's so young, but still these guys trust him. You know, so there should be a reason for it. They must see stuff that we don't see. You know, um, but then yeah, second goal happened. Everybody's happy. Everybody's dancing. We go in at the halftime, 2-0, fairly comfortable. Everybody
Mhm.
fucking livid, inside the Wanda,
Mhm.
expectedly so. Um, we come back and basically take the foot off the gas, which bewilders me. Maybe I don't know. We have this belief that we might see the game across, and Atleti has to eventually, come out of their low blocks and kind of take the game to us. So we might find eventually spaces to attack them, but it almost backfired.
It did,
Like I,
yeah.
I remember, yeah, go on, yeah.
It did. I mean, from the
Mm,
first half, the lessons that we carried, or the lessons that we should have carried into the second half,
yeah,
is to hit
yeah.
them on the breaks or to exploit whatever small mistakes they make. But in the second
Mm,
half, we were sitting deeper. We were playing a safe version of football, not even cleaning up some of the errors that they made, some of the long passes that had potential to. We could cut across some of them, make some
mm,
runs, get some
mm.
more goals just for safety. 2-0 is always the most dangerous lead in football.
Yeah,
It's been
yeah.
said time and time again, and we saw an example, yet another example of that today.
Absolutely. This is the approach that kind of worries me. I'm sure it is down to personnel, and he doesn't want to overwork his midfield at times. But it's a dangerous game. At least it is not easy to watch, especially how Atleti scored again, another set piece which we didn't deal with, you know, well enough. Uncharacteristic error by Thibaut, who completely mispunches the ball, and the guy Hermoso even didn't even know what part of his body basically led to the goal.
It
Like he
was
was
his
so unaware.
shoulder, wasn't it? It was his
Yeah, it
shoulder,
was his
and it
goal.
seemed so much like a miss hit. Even he was very surprised. So were the
Mm.
rest of us. It was yeah, he rushed out pretty uncharacteristically. But then it also raises the question of if Thibaut Courtois is. I mean, he's the world's best goalkeeper at the moment. I'll say it because it's true. But in the dying embers of the game, around the 93rd minute, there was a crazy Alvaro Morata run, which almost ended in another mistake from Thibaut
Mm.
Courtois. Him just taking the ball in, doing a spin just to get rid of the ball. If it had been a split second late, it would have ended at the back of our own net from a Morata. Uh,
But it shows
yeah.
you how much he's confident with his feet. Back in the
Is
day, he
that a
never.
good thing though? Because it gives me a heart
It's not a
attacks
good
whenever
thing. It's
he's
not a good
doing.
thing. As long as it comes off, nobody's freaking out, right?
The
Like
moment it
remember he
does,
did the
though,
same
the
thing.
moment it does, the moment it
Yeah, when you're
does,
watching the game, you're fucking cussing him. Like I get it, you're cussing people,
yeah.
but like I don't know. In hindsight, it feels like this is intimidation tactics. Remember, he did the same thing to Mason Mount in the Champions League.
Yeah, that was
It's
a disgrace. Poor Mount, man.
that was even more effortless than
It
tonight.
was
But I get the
absolutely.
concern.
Mhm.
I get the concerns, but this sends a message. This sends a message because regardless of what we think, what he thinks, what anybody thinks, people go through all these clips. After a game is done, the next
Mhm.
opponent is going to be watching and telling you know what, like press him, but at your own risk. Because he can pull off stuff like that.
He can
So
end your
yeah.
career. True. Mason Mount hasn't been
Mm.
the same since.
Mm.
Just saying. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
again, it's
yeah.
is it a point of concern? I don't know yet, but it's something that is today's game brought out maybe perhaps some of the things that we were kind of ignoring for some time because it's
Mm.
Thibaut Courtois and he'll pull out the game at the end. And yeah, before we move on, Sunit, I'll just say hi to a couple of people who joined the live chat. And if you're an audio listener, feel free, or if you're watching this clip later, feel free to join our lives whenever we're doing a live uh, post match or even pre match discussions. So, yeah, first off, S. Matthew, as always, he's here again. He, she, them, I don't know. S. Matthew says, Hala Madrid, and welcome back, S. Matthew. Rahul from our Rahul, who's the Atletico Madrid fan from our pre-game discussion, he's here again. He's saying Opa Atletico. I don't know if he means pride in defeat, as one of our other rivals say. But welcome back, Rahul. Hope you enjoyed the game. And like I predicted, we came out through winning as always. Hala Madrid. Yeah, please go on, Sunil. Yeah.
Commiserations, commiserations, Rahul. Commiserations. Atleti, Atleti gave it a go. They gave it a go. At least in the second half, Simeone kind of tweaked stuff a bit. Bought on Korea. Um, bought on pulled off DePaul, who you know couple of things I need to get in before we move on. Rodrigo De Paul and Koke, especially in the first half, was kind of trying to intimidate our boys.
A lot.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, a lot. So this is the fastest evolution. You go from tough guy to a bitch. You can't metamorph any quicker. I remember there was an instance, DePaul was kinda, shoving, was it Militao or someone? And then he got manhandled, I don't know, a few moments later by, was it Alaba, was it Chouameni? I mean, these guys always chat shit, you can chat shit as long as you can back it up.
Exactly.
That
The
was
moment,
all. Yeah.
the moment one of our players just walked on and faced him, he's running back to the referee saying, "Okay, card him." I mean, you're doing the
Mm.
same, bro. What are you talking about?
Mm.
As the saying goes, chat shit, get banged. So yeah,
Mm.
fair enough.
Mm. That's one of the few reasons why when I was growing up, like even though they were our bitter rivals, I kind of respected them for what they did because the underdog story is very
It's a
is
compelling
very good.
storyline. Yeah.
There's a very compelling storyline. So now they have kind of lost their edge. All these grown ass men, appearing to be tough but not being really tough.
Yeah.
It kind of goes against the athletic way. That's why they are in this sort of personality disorder kind of thing where they can't really associate with the really, really great Simeone teams of the past. They're trying to replicate something that is no longer there, you know. Um, but
You
yeah,
know, it's
Simeone gave it a go in the second half, brought on some changes, Korea was brought on.
mhm.
Um,
I mean, props to them for keeping
yeah.
us on our toes. It was a tense
Mm,
game, all things
mm,
considered.
yeah.
But yeah, I agree with what you said because it's
Mm,
not the same Atletico Madrid that we saw in the other seasons, which also
mm,
reflects in their La Liga form, which
mm.
coincidentally continues to drop.
Yeah, it was four wins, a draw, and two losses in all comps. So
Mhm.
basically, it's three losses now in all competitions, and I mean it's not the worst start, but they are not where they want to be, especially in Spain, and they just came back from Germany, getting thumped 2-0 against Leverkusen.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think this pretty much sums it up, man. 9 out of 9 wins. Couldn't ask for more. International break. So many of our players are basically going away. We just hope they come back in one shape. Um, but you could see. Wait. Before we wrap it up, I need to say this, right. This
Yeah.
this this might sound like I'm antagonizing stuff, but in my opinion, I need to hear from you as well, Leo, okay? In my
Yeah.
opinion, Vinny used to kind of tone down the play acting. When Farouk said it the other day, I was kind of standing up for Vinny, telling him that no, I don't think it's on the level of Neymar. Vinny is much more self-aware. I don't think he's that dumb, but there were flashes of that dumbness, the same dumbness that people like Neymar promote. It was in full flow. You can dive, you can roll on the floor, but you gotta pick your moments, right? Everybody fucking dives. There's no fucking saints in this world, neither in this game, right? Everybody wants to win. They'll squeeze every fucking loophole out of the rule book to actually get their team to win. So,
Mhm.
but when it crosses the line, it becomes unacceptable. And tonight, couple of instances, going down, holding your face, rolling on the floor, stop it. Word goes around. Football is a game where everybody talks to everybody. These will go out to refs who are gonna, ref you in the subsequent games, and they'll know that you have a reputation of diving. So for legitimate chances, you wouldn't expect the decisions to necessarily go your way, even when you were in the right side. So
Mhm.
don't cry wolf unless you have to. That's just my opinion. What do you think?
I actually saw this in the group chat because there was a talk about simulation, but
Mm,
here I would still defend Vinny. just for this game, though. I do hope that it's not a trend, but on the plus side, on thinking about the game from his perspective, he came into the game with
Yeah.
high emotions. He has been
Mhm.
playing the game throughout with those high emotions. It
Yeah,
is to be expected that if he can get a player sent off, or if he felt that he had been manhandled,
yeah.
why not go to the ground? I mean, why not?
Mm,
Because they are antagonizing him as much as they could.
mm,
They are expecting to get a race out of him because he is so
mm.
emotionally charged, and
Yeah.
I would rather that he goes down and try to get the other player a yellow card instead of
Mm.
having a Zidane Materazzi moment and
But then,
headbutting
there's a
somebody
way to
else.
do it. In my opinion, there's a way to do it. Once it becomes very soft, very soft, it
Mhm.
kind of bugs you because Atleti in the stadium it's a different thing, but as far as I know, stuff that I've read from our Atleti on Twitter, their own fans hate their own players because of stuff like this.
Mhm.
So as long as it's going good, your fans will be on your side. When stuff isn't so good, people will call you out, for stuff like this. So just do it only to the amount you need it. Like the better we stay away from confrontation,
Mhm.
the easier it'll be for Winnie because this is just a small blip in a huge season that he needs to properly step up and
Yeah.
kind of take the Benzema role of last season.
Mhm.
Trust me, that kind of onus is on Vinicius and Rodrigo.
Yeah.
More on Vinicius, of course, and a bit of it on Rodrigo and Valverde to help us this season. Because I
Mhm.
don't think that I'll be happy if I'm proven wrong, but in my gut feeling says that Benzema won't be able to replicate the form of last season this season.
Yeah.
So these guys need to be stepping it up. But
The only
yeah, go
thing,
on.
the only thing that I would at least add to that is that Vinicius is aware that he has a lot of eyes on him at this point,
Mm, mm,
not just from his form, but the news cycle that has been going on for the last 48 hours.
mm.
And I'm pretty sure that Carlo will be having a word with him about all of this if he feels like this is too much of an issue. And it's then up to his ego to tune it down, do with it what he
Also, there was
should.
a very interesting. Sorry to cut you in. Very interesting question that was asked to Carlo in the pre-match presser.
Mhm.
So all this dancing thing was going on. So the journalist was asking Carlo basically. So what advice would you give Vinny? To which Carlo said, "I'm not his father or his brother. He knows how to handle this." To which some people took offense. They basically said that Carlo shouldn't be saying stuff like that. But I guess that is the way to deal with it. You know,
Yeah.
that is the
Yeah.
way to deal with it. Like I'm pretty sure Carlo and everybody inside the dressing room will be having words about all these unnecessary drama.
Mhm.
Sort of surrounding the game right now. Like he was just like, what is he supposed to say? Like in my opinion, at least, like what is he supposed to say? Like, is he gonna say, well, I was giving him advice, like maybe don't read tweets or look out for what other people's are like chatting about. It's basically redundant, but people get pissed, when they hear such statements. You gotta be real with the people, who are actually asking you questions. You can't just be saying stuff for the sake of it. I like Carlos' honesty. Like he could just feed media the narrative. I'm being this father figure, but he was real. But some people
Mhm.
mistake it for arrogance or lack of care, you could say, stuff like that. Baffles me. Any thoughts about that?
Well, it's a question of what goes behind the dressing room, which is not available to the general media, which should be the case. We know we have player role models such as Modric himself, who came out last season saying that he's guiding younger players, being their papa in the dressing room. And it's up to players like players who we look up to and players who these players also look up to have a word with players like this. I mean, have a word with Rodrigo and Vinicius about all the on pitch behavior and off the pitch behavior. And
Yeah,
I'm confident that they'll come through as they have with all the other younger players who have passed through our system.
fair enough. Good stuff. I completely agree with it. I'm pretty sure the elder statesman of the dressing room would have told him, you do what you want as long as we score a goal, we'll celebrate it however we want to. I mean, which was very evident in both celebrations. But yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Uh, this was much needed. This was a change
Mhm.
in script, I could say. Uh, we were discussing, you wanted to bring it up. The battle of second half
Second half
FC,
teams, which turned out to be a battle of first half teams. So
first
pretty
half team,
happy with
and
that.
us turning into a first half team at one of
Yeah.
the most hostile places for, especially for us to go to, deserves even more credit. Could have been better. I think I jinxed it because I was watching with my friend, and I was
Mhm.
telling him, Thibaut hasn't had a clean sheet this season, and boom, they score a goal.
That's the
So,
first thing I thought when they scored. RIP clean sheet. So
yeah,
it is what it is. And yeah,
weekends doesn't offer clean sheets. That is the current script. Weekends
yeah.
doesn't offer clean sheets, but weekdays, midweek games, Champions Leagues, we somehow keep the ball out of the net.
Fair enough, Suneet. That
Yeah.
actually wraps up the whole segment for
One
us.
one last thing. So this is how the record reads. Like
Mhm.
people wonder why they are so childish and petulant, right? The Atleti fans. Well,
Yeah.
this is the reason why people.
Oh.
All-time record against Atleti for
Mhm.
us in La Liga is 91 wins, 40 draws, and 40 losses. So they have just won 40 times. This was supposed to be one of their golden eras. Even then, it looks for grim reading. No wonder they're seething inside. No wonder they have this inferiority complex. You know, but this is my only advice. Unless and until you grow out of it, you would forever be in the shadow of Los Blancos.
The greatest team in the world. That's it. And we'll end it there. Thank you to all the people in the live chat. The live chat is popping off. And thank you for being here. First off, hope you enjoyed the win. Hope you enjoyed the game. Any parting words, Sinead? As always, please
Just
wrap
keep an
up.
eye out on the socials for stuff during the international break. Like we have a few um, side stuff planned. So yeah, just keep an eye out. We'll be announcing it shortly. Shout out to Memento Madridismo, our partners on Reinas Blancas podcast. Check them out. They cover the Femenino team alongside us. Check out Real Madrid Committee. Link is in the description. They're our partners on Instagram. Uh, yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Top of the league, very good position to go into an international break. Nothing more to ask for, honestly. Hala Madrid.
Hala Madrid. See you soon, guys. Bye bye.